everybody and welcome to this week's M&A TV. Here's what's coming up in this week's show. We hear from a lady called Nina in Paranormal Encounters. We have a brand new segment, The Cryptid Files. And Fran will be talking about 3 of her crystals in Spiritual World. Sadly, as there's nothing going on at the moment, we have no news for this week. So we'll be kicking things off with our brand new segment, Meet the Team.
Hello, and welcome to this week's Meet the Team. This time, it's me. Now, most of you know who I am and what I do. But for those of you who don't know, I am Chris Morris. I am founder and team leader of M&A Paranormal. Now, being a founder is pretty much self-explanatory, but being a leader, well, for me, that means I'm the representative. I'm responsible for communicating with high-level locations, clients for private investigations, and pretty much whatever company is relevant to the team at the time. I do all the talking on the phone and emails and such. So, yeah, I'm the representative. But more than that, I make decisions for the team when no one else is sure. I look after them. I take care of the safety, which means I have the first aid kit, although Jodie is our first aider. But I cross all the T's and all the I's. I'm the first one in and the last one out. That's what it is for me to be a leader. Now, outside of the paranormal, I'm a pretty simple guy. I do like my Xbox. I do enjoy some time on it, but not as much as I used to. But more than that, I like going on the internet, looking up history, as many of you will know from my history walks. I'm looking forward to when we get back out there. And I know Jay is going to be joining me for one of them. Spoiler. But I like to try new things. I like exploring. I like going on holiday to new places. I'm pretty simple. But when I think about the team and what I want it to be, I really want it to grow and evolve, but I want it to be a team that helps as many people as possible. It's something that's actually been really quite important to me for a while, about actually helping people as much as we can. I know a lot of people go through some pretty bad times, and they've no one to turn to because they don't think anybody will believe them. But that's what I want our team to be. I want us to be someone people will turn to because they know we'll believe them and will help them. And I want us to be some people that will actually help those who haven't actually left us probably. People are stuck. I want us to be able to do something about that as well. So yeah, that's my goal for the team. But to finish, I think I would like to say just how proud of each and every member of my team I am. They've carried themselves well, they've handled things well. I really would like to thank Shell so much for everything she does. All the things she comes up with, all the absolutely amazing editing she does, just how hard she works every single day for us. She spends most of her time on the phone, but that's because every minute she's talking to people on social media and organising things and sorting things out, coming up with new ideas, forging alliances with other groups. She works so hard. I'd just like to thank her so much for everything she does. But not just Shell, but Jodie, Jay and Brian and Steve, for every bit of participation they've had in the group and how they've managed to help us all out. But most especially, I'd like to really thank our new member Fran. She hasn't been with us very long, but she has done a lot for us already, and she actually makes us feel so much more like a team somehow. So thank you, Fran, and welcome to us. We're really glad to have you. But that's it for me. I've waffled on for quite enough. See you soon.
There we go. Nice to hear from you, Chris. We thought it'd be a good idea for you to get to know us all a little bit better. Next week, you're going to be hearing from me. Next up, here's Fran with Spiritual World.
Hello and welcome to Crystals with Fran Norris. Today we will be focusing on 3 of my favourite crystals: ametrine, pink agate and malachite. Ametrine is a quartz crystal and can be used for the solar plexus and crown. It is known for its purple and yellow tones, can be found in Bolivia and is linked with the element air. It is also known as Tristone or Bolivianite. It is compatible with Libra and Pisces zodiac symbols. It's made up of amethyst and citrine, so makes it a great amplifier of energy, clears the mind and eases headaches. It can unite masculine and feminine energy, making it a useful stone to aid compatibility and also provide harmony across many spectrums. The connection between solar plexus and crown makes this a great crystal that connects the physical and spiritual, enhancing clarity in both. Pink agate is also from the quartz family and can be used to focus on the heart and sacral chakras. It's identified as being pink with soft pink and white banding and can be found in many countries. It is linked with the element earth and is also known as a protector of children. It's a birthstone for September and can be linked with the zodiac signs Gemini, Scorpio and Capricorn. It can strengthen the immune system, helps in healing the liver and pancreas, improves concentration, heals emotional disease, transforms negativity, relieves stress, soothes anger, boosts confidence and support, promotes unconditional love. It can strengthen the bond between a parent and child, balance yin-yang energies, and bring calmness to the user. In medieval times, the belief surrounding agate was that it could deliver a plentiful harvest if tied to the horns of an oxen. Ancient Egypt believed agate provided protection against natural disasters and thirst. Malachite can be used for the solar plexus and heart chakras. It's easy to recognise with its multiple green banding and can be found in a multitude of countries including the USA. It's associated with the fire element, is also known as malash in Greek and malachitis in Latin. It's also known as a midwife stone, and the name derives from mallow because it looks like a leaf from the mallow plant. The birthstone of April and May and the zodiac Taurus. It increases vitality, aids in recovery, regulates menstrual cycles, aids kidney function, strengthens memory, lowers blood pressure, builds self-confidence, encourages change and transformation, encourages expression, reduces shyness, increases empathy, helps with depression. It aids in psychic protection, enhances will and purges and absorbs energy, and it is known to stimulate dreams. Egyptians believed the afterlife was a paradise, resembling their lives without pain or suffering, referring to this place as the Field of Malachite. Inside their headdresses, they would often line with the stone. It's easy to charge a crystal just by placing it in the light of a full moon. Storms are great for cleansing crystals. You can even collect rainwater into jars to cleanse at a later date. Love and light.
Thank you so much, Fran. That was amazing. Can't wait for the next episode. And well done on the editing for first go. That was absolutely amazing. And next up, here's Shell with another brand new segment of ours, the Cryptid Files.
Cryptid, an animal whose existence or survival is disputed or unsubstantiated, such as the Yeti. Lake monsters. There are many stories all over the world of so-called lake monsters. A lake monster is a lake-dwelling entity in folklore. Old versions of the stories describe the creatures as being horse-like beings that shapeshift into human and other forms, while in more recent times they're described as having a reptile or dinosaur-like appearance. These later descriptions coincide with the discovery of dinosaur bones. Moiso of Lake Tota in Colombia. Morag of Loch Morar in Scotland. Lariosauro of Lake Como in Italy. And Bessie of Lake Erie, besides many more. One of the most famous though has to be Nessie of Loch Ness. Nessie is a cryptid in cryptozoology and Scottish folklore that is said to inhabit Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands. It is often described as large, long-necked and with one or more humps protruding from the water. The first reported sightings of Nessie are believed to have been around 1802. However, it wasn't widely reported until 1933. There was a report discussing a strange sighting at the loch from the 1870s. However, this wasn't published until 1934. It is believed that warnings and tales of the creature had been around much longer, for many generations, although not generally spoken of outside of the area until the media brought it to the world's attention. Many of the sightings described a very similar creature. There have also been sightings of Nessie on land, sometimes carrying an animal in her mouth. Some reports can of course be logically explained. Large masses of aquatic plants and other vegetation, when close to the surface, can look creature-like, as can the trunks of fallen trees that may be floating on top of the loch. And even mammals such as otters and seals swimming in groups from a distance can look unusual and creature-shaped. And of course, there are the purposely hoaxed sightings, like this, one of the most famous photographs of Nessie. On the 11th of January 2020, the Inverness Courier reported that the year of 2019 had seen the highest amount of reported sightings of Nessie since 1983. A total of 18 sightings from a mix of eyewitnesses visiting the loch and from people watching the live webcams that are broadcast on their website. The latest scientific studies point to the most likely type of creature responsible for the sightings is some kind of giant eel, due to the high amounts of eel DNA found in water samples taken from the loch. We would love to know your thoughts on Nessie and other lake monsters. Have you seen one? Do you believe in their existence? Let us know in the comments what you think. We hope to bring you more cryptid files in the future, so let us know if you liked this new segment.
Well, that was nice. I really hope you enjoyed hearing about Nessie. Next up is Real Paranormal Encounters.
Welcome back to Real Paranormal Encounters. Now this week we've got another tale from somebody else in the world, which we're going to tell for them. This tale is from Nina in Connecticut in the USA. And it's from a point in her life, a horrific point, when she was plagued by paranormal activity. Here's her tale.
Hi, my name is Nina. I'm from Connecticut and I have a paranormal story to share. When I was 15 years old, I bought a spirit board and I started to play around with it. I played around with the spirit board maybe for 3 or 4 days, and then I decided to stop because my questions weren't being answered. The night that I stopped playing with the board, I was woken up with something growling in my ear. This was around 3:15 a.m. in the morning time. Along with this, I wasn't able to move my arms or legs. I was paralyzed in the bed. I also felt like there was a presence around me. The attacks lasted for maybe a couple of seconds. This happened every night. One night I actually decided to open my eyes during one of these attacks. And when I did, standing beside my bed was a hooded shadow figure. I also would, during the day, I would hear my name being called when no one was around. I would feel like I was being watched constantly. Eventually, I got tired of this and I decided to move across the street to my aunt's house. I decided this because I thought it was the house that was haunted and nothing was attached to me at the time. Well, I was wrong. I went to my aunt's house, and the first night I actually had this, like, the same attack, like being woken up at 3:15 a.m. with something growling in my ear. One night I actually was laying in bed and I remember staring up at the ceiling, and staring down at me was two glowing yellow eyes. Eventually I got a summer job. Monday through Friday I had to live with my aunt, my other aunt, who lives the town next to us. I had to stay there Monday through Friday. I was watching my little cousin. Well, the night that I stayed with her at her house, I was laying in bed and there was a light above me and it was started turning on and off. Very crazy, like really quick, like on and off, on and off, on and off. And I felt like there was something standing in the corner. So I ran out of the room and I ran down the hallway. But one of the rooms I would have to pass was my little cousin's room, because I decided I was going to sleep on the sofa in the living room. Well, when I passed my little cousin's room, I heard, well, I thought it was him whispering to himself. But I remember hearing two different voices. It was like phantom whispering. You would hear the whispering, but you couldn't understand what it was, like what they were saying. Well, the next day I told my aunt, I'm like, oh, I think, so-and-so was up last night. I heard him talking in his room. Well, she said, well, that's weird because he was with me the whole night sleeping in my bed. Now that scared me. Well, eventually it escalated, like the paranormal activity actually started escalating. One night I decided to move back to my old house because it just was, the entity was just following me. So it wasn't, I couldn't run away from it. So I decided to move back to my old house. And one night it actually touched me. My foot was out of the blankets, and I remember feeling something with long fingernails caressing my foot. And another night I remember sleeping downstairs, because it was the summertime and the coolest place was down in the furnished basement. So I slept down there, and I remember I woke up because I heard footsteps running down the stairs. So I assumed it was my father, because he worked third shift, and he would come downstairs after after he got home to watch TV. Well, it wasn't my dad. When I woke up and I looked at the doorway, it was a figure with huge horns in the doorway, and it would disappear and reappear until it got to the couch where I was sleeping. And it talked to me, and it told me to go upstairs. Well, I ran up the stairs. Eventually it started getting more violent. It would start threatening me in my when I would go into these attacks, like not being able to move. It actually told me it was going to kill me and my family. Well, that was my last straw, and I decided to throw the board out. Well, that night that I threw the board out, I woke up not able to move, and something said that it was going to come back.
Now, the video, unfortunately, was cut off at the end, due to, we think, being sent internationally. So we asked Nina if the entity had come back as promised. This is what she said. It did come back when I was 30 years old. I had just had my son and become a mum. One night I had put my son to bed and was watching television when a hooded shadow figure appeared and walked in front of the TV and walked into the wall. I believe it was letting me know, hey, I'm still here. I'm afraid that it will keep its promise. I'm a mother of 2 now, and I want my children to have a normal childhood and not be terrified. We asked Nina if she felt that now she is older and stronger mentally, that it knows that it can no longer harm or prey upon her. To which she said, yes, I also believe at the time I was at a negative place in my life, and it fed off that. Well, Nina has written 2 books about her experiences, and they're both available on Amazon. We'll post the links for you in the description below. But I wanted to do now just a bit of a public service announcement and talk to you a bit about dabbing into the paranormal with really no knowledge on what's going on. Because Nina's story should really tell us one thing: that messing around with something you don't know anything about or don't know how to handle is dangerous. Now, this is something we know very well in everyday life. You don't try and handle something or fiddle with something if you don't know anything about it. You could end up doing damage. This is something we know just off by heart. So this is a lesson we should take into the paranormal. Messing with a Ouija board is dodgy prospect enough. A lot of people will tell you it's absolutely fine. But the truth is, it's not. Most of the people that deal with a Ouija board know how to protect themselves and know how to deal with any mischievous or malicious spirits. They have their knowledge and their wisdom. They know how to defend themselves and those that are using the board. So they're well practiced, well informed, and they know what they're doing. But for those of us who don't, when you mess with a Ouija board, you are asking for trouble. Even if you're with people, if you still don't know what you're doing, it's dangerous. Psychologically and emotionally dangerous. So I'll ask you, please, don't do anything paranormal if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have any backup and you don't know how to deal with it. Because it can only hurt you and the ones you love. Please think about it. Stay safe. Thank you for listening to me waffle on. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.
Wow. Now that sounded like a really, really scary experience for you, Nina. Now in the next part of the show, Chris reviews a really scary place indeed. The Ancient Ram Inn.
The Ancient Ram Inn is a Grade 2 listed 12th century building. It's been through a lot of history. It's got a lot of tales to it. But the building itself is split up into 3 floors. On the first floor, you've got the bar, the lounge, the kitchen, and the barn. Above the kitchen is John's room, which remains out of bounds. But on the second floor, you've got the notorious Bishop's room, the Beaufort room, and the Witch's room. Now I know a couple of those rooms, namely the Beaufort and the Witch's room, have changed names when we went to investigate. But lastly is the attic on the 3rd floor. The owners of the Ancient Ram Inn, family of John, were relatively easy to get hold of and talk to in order to sort this out, and they were lovely people indeed. They were very helpful in telling us on how to do things and where everything was, and also instructing us where we couldn't go. The evidence and activity inside the Ancient Ram Inn was numerous, to say the least. Ouija board sessions which would give us a lot of responses and a terrifying feeling, to being split up in groups, having sat there with one of my allies, to hear footsteps going past the door outside when nobody else was moving. In addition to that, we got many audio responses, a lot of strange noises and goings on. The best methods for investigating this place is to pick out specific locations at a time on opposite ends of the building if there are more than a few of you, and to sit still, ask your questions, and have your plans ready to go. Freelancing this location won't work, and I'll tell you about why later on. But the best experiments are Spirit Box, I feel, and Ouija board seems to get a lot of response but do be sure not to provoke anything. Pendulum is also a good one you can use, but DVR and photographs don't seem to really turn much up. Contamination in this building is a problem, more so from the inside than it is from outside. Now, the building is located in the midst of a residential area, so at night it's pretty quiet. In addition to being out in the country, it doesn't get a lot of traffic going by, so exterior contamination is at a minimum. But it's a different story inside. This is because the building is so old and rickety, footsteps will clearly be heard upstairs. Any movement from any other member of the team can be heard, as well as voices from any member of the team. Because it is such an old style, compact place, a small building, speech can be heard quite easily. So you can end up with a fair amount of contamination if you don't carefully plan this one out. As I said, it's a rickety building, so if doors aren't shut properly and there is any breeze in the building, it can cause false positives in unknown noises and activity going on. At £50 per person, I think the cost is quite amazing. It's not too expensive and it is quite reasonable per person, and I enjoyed paying it to investigate this place. But my overall score for Ancient Ram Inn, location, I give a 5 out of 5. The evidence, I give a 4 out of 5. The scare factor, I give a 4 out of 5. The value, I give a 4 out of 5. The activity, I give a 4 out of 5. And lastly, I give the owners a 3 out of 5. I will briefly explain that though. I give the owners a 3 because it was a little challenging to get hold of them, but this is because of their busy schedule. We never managed to get hold of them by phone very quickly, but it was more so by email that we spoke to them. But once you get a hold of them, it is very, very simple to organise the event.
Wow, now, really scary place, but I really can't wait to go back, because we are planning to. Now, our next guest has also been to the Ram, and I believe she is just as eager to return. Here's Shell with Paranormal Chat.
This week on Paranormal Chat, I sent over some questions to our good friend and paranormal blogger, Chloe. We'll be posting a link to her blog on our Facebook page, so keep an eye out for that. And please do check it out. There's lots of great content on there from all of her past investigations. And we hope to catch up with her soon to do another collaboration. So now, over to Chloe.
So just in regards to some questions that you sent across, my favourite location, I really like Haunted Antiques Paranormal Research Centre in Hinckley. What Neil has done with the place is just fantastic, and because it is a research centre, you can touch stuff that's there. So there's like a wheelchair and all these dolls, and it's just laid out so easily, and it really is just a fantastic location to visit. Most memorable moment, I think I'd have to say on an investigation I went to a theatre that's quite local to me. They let us sit wherever we wanted, so me and my mum went and sat in the seats that she had sat literally the week prior, for a performance, and I could hear this piano play so clearly, every key, every note, everything, even what song it was playing. Nobody else could hear it, so I thought I was going a little bit crazy, you know, sort of just thinking of it because it was a theatre, it's what you would expect. And it turns out where we were sat was directly above the old piano shed. So the guy that worked there thought that was really, really weird to hear a piano, and for where we were sat, it had a link to it. Scariest moment. I think my scariest moment would be torn between two, from what I can think. One of them was at Moira Furnace. There was 3 of us there for the whole investigation, and we had this really heavy fire door. It had been pinned open all night. It was securely open, and on command it slammed shut. The wedge was taken out and physically turned, and this door slammed shut. There was a fire door behind us, and I've never ran so fast in my whole life. It would either be that, or the one that happened when we was at the Ancient Ram Inn. We had split up at this time, and there was myself and Brian and Nathan from the Paranormal Detectives sat in the bar area, and Nathan and I heard at the time what we thought was either a really loud hiss or a sigh from the doorway. Made me jump. Nathan didn't know what it was. Brian didn't hear it. Upon review, it kind of sounds like my name, but we're not sure. But it was so clear and so loud that it made us jump, and we just don't know what had caused that. And my dream investigation. See, I kind of feel like the media sort of sways me on this one, because I would love to go to the original Conjuring house. Obviously it wouldn't be anything like the film, but I do kind of feel like I'd like to go there and have the feeling for myself, as opposed to what somebody else is telling me should be there. Failing that, somewhere like the Willis Scrax murder house or the Lizzie Borden house, I think would be really interesting to visit and to find out, again, for yourself, as opposed to what people are telling you is happening somewhere. I think it would just be really interesting to go and do it anywhere like that, any of the state penitentiaries over there or the asylums, because there'd be so much history to it. I just think you don't know what you're expecting. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Chloe. Very nice hearing from you. Now that's all we've got time for this week, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Just like to say a big thank you to all our NHS staff and all the key workers as well. You know, we've all got to stay in, stay safe, and we're all in this together, don't forget. Before I go, I'd like to leave you with a video from Fran telling you about the pagan festival Beltane. I hope I've pronounced that right, Fran. Yeah, so stay safe and we'll see you next week.
At Beltane we give thanks to the god of the sun, Bel. He is the deity of light, health and healing. He is associated with healing waters, wells and springs. Bel means shining. Beltane means the fire of the god Bel. May 1st marks the end of the colder months and heralds the start of summer. It is a fire festival day where fires were burned on hilltops to encourage the sun's warmth down to the earth. Beltane is halfway through the pagan year. It is strongly linked to fertility. At sunrise on May Day, it is customary to rush out into the garden or fields and wipe your face in May dew, particularly dew gathered on the hawthorn tree. This is thought to have magical properties, including the ability to beautify the complexion for the coming year. The hawthorn flowers are used to beautify and decorate the home. It is tradition to go out with family and friends and a basket to gather wild herbs and flowers. Another Beltane tradition is to make flower garlands. A Scottish tradition is to make oat cakes on Beltane to share around the bell fire. I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed making it. See you soon. Love and light, Fran.